What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Alex here from Team Generations, and today we're here with another market watch. So obviously yesterday at the time of recording, it was yesterday, we received the JP Banlist, and we actually did get announced that there's going to be like a TCG, OCG kind of split for both English and Japan, just talking in Yu-Gi-Oh terms, I guess. But I really wanted to look at what this is doing to our market. Is this impacting it at all? Is there any shifts and changes? And there definitely are some things that I wanted to point out. Maybe not what the cards actually mentioned, but some cards kind of surrounding them. So without further ado, let's hop right in. Just to take care of house cleaning items, I just wanted to mention that if you are interested in purchasing these cards, we do have a TCG player affiliate link down in the description below. But without further ado, let's hop right in. So of course, everybody's talking about for English Prism. We saw crazy conversion rates. Everybody's coming out with their stats, their charts, and we just see this card is going absolutely nuts. Like, it is such a good card. I guess JP doesn't want to play it as much as us. That's understandable. I feel like their play style in general is more kind of high roll, and I think Melody, well, really like embodies that, because if you miss, you really miss. If you hit, you know, you really hit. So Prism is a little bit more, I feel like, stable throughout, and just such a good deck overall. So that being said, if this does get hit in English, do I see this price dropping? Maybe. I don't know as of right now. We haven't seen anything really come to fruition for this JP ban list. We see a couple people buy them out at the lower prices over here. Actually, quite a few. I kind of take that back. There are quite a few. All the cheap copies did get bought out. So a lot of speculation that, hey, look, you know, if JP is going to do it, we're not going to... we're going to basically copy them. There's going to be no changes. So I feel like those speculators kind of moved in. There are a couple copies. If you want to pick up a playset, kind of looking around that $21 mark, $24, kind of around there. So not terrible for quote unquote the best deck of the meta, obviously, but again, could be a little bit better. And I think a lot of people capitalized on this list earlier today. We could see that here. I don't know if you could actually see that or if my head was blocking, but the couple sales for cheaper prices. But next up over here, I did want to talk about Ezel. So Ezel, I know, isn't like a meta-defining card, but I kind of mentioned this last week, and I guess I just put it up a little bit further in my tabs over here just because I'm excited about Ezel. I do have a deck profile coming out. I did record that. I did upload it. Just have to put the timestamps on it and everything. So that is coming as well. I don't think there's any major changes really to this deck. It's not hit by the Percival quote-unquote ban or, you know, restriction now. So I did just want to mention it is still really expensive. Higher rarities of cards are exceeding their market prices now over here. We obviously see for Platinum Ezel, a couple different ones right here. Blonde, $10 exceeding market price. This guy is just insane. I don't know why this market price hasn't gone up really to kind of follow it. I guess it hasn't really sold at that price. So are we still gathering sales data? I guess so, but it hasn't really sold, I guess, in the last 3 months. So this might be the floor, but at the same time, people aren't buying it for that. So, you know, I don't think that's the true market price overall. But yeah, high rarity versions of Ezel stuff are increasing, and I will go over the set itself. But Grand Ezel over here is pretty expensive for the SPR. I think the regular version is floating around that $6. So yeah, Ezel is definitely something to keep your eyes on if you are looking to play the deck. Definitely look in the market, because I feel like there are times where people post this stuff are kind of cheap. The deck isn't like the most powerful in the meta right now, so if you're looking to pick it up, maybe you can post online, try to find it. But definitely a solid value pick at the moment. And then Bluish Flame Liberator Percival. So this card, of course, got the restriction, but what does that mean for its market price? We're seeing not a whole lot, to be honest. We saw a couple people, you know, this guy bought for them for $15. That was yesterday, or that was actually today. So a lot of people are thinking still, hey, look, you know, $20 per copy over here. I guess the price did drop a little bit, but still, to have this card, a double rare, be above $10, still very expensive. I get it now, you just need to have one in your deck, and I think English is going to copy this, because if we hit all the top decks in English and we don't kind of hit Spectral Duke in a way, I think he'll just kind of skyrocket up to the top as well. So I could see this kind of staying at this price for now. I think that this kind of has settled in. We see that, you know, you can reliably get your one copy for $13, pretty much $14 and I think I could see that kind of sitting at that price range even with this ban. So unfortunate, but it is what it is. Moving on over here too, we have to talk about the unrestriction version with Percival in Gurgit. So now we're allowed to run Percival at 1. Does it change the absolute landscape of the deck? Not really, but I think it does help with consistency. I recently did post a Gurgit deck profile, and I think that it is actually a really strong deck in a lot of different ways. I think that with the Ezel Ride Chain, if you're going second, you can just really accelerate almost the same way as you did previously with Percival. Now if you high roll that plus a Percival, it could actually be pretty powerful, putting down an extra 10k, an extra 15k on your rear guards when they pop out on your Gurgit turn. So I still think it is a very good deck, and we see that over here. I think the floor really is this $9.99 over here. So if you want to play set, you're about looking at $40. I think that's definitely set in stone. Earlier on, this card was a little bit cheaper. Yeah, we saw $6 copies kind of fly off the shelf over here, $4, $5. I think when I originally picked it up, it was kind of around there months ago, but honestly, really decent card, and I could see this kind of staying at this price range, even if it is announced that in English our restriction kind of allows him back, Percival back into this deck. Moving on over here, we're gonna be talking about Gabriel, and Gabriel kind of surprised me, to be honest, because people are still buying them, like 3.8, 3.7 over here, even with the restriction list, and they're still decently expensive. Like the floor, I guess Magic Satchel kind of said it. It is at 12 of over here, and for $14. So if you want your playset over there, you're still looking at $60 for a card that doesn't have Hamiel, the main win condition. And I don't know if you've ever tried this without Hamiel. It's just really is not the greatest in the world. Speaking of Hamiel, we are going to talk about that. What happened to this? We see that it has, pretty much stayed the same price. Like even with the ban, I think a lot of sellers are waiting for the English list to see if this is getting banned in English, because people don't play Gabriel as much over here as they do in JP. But overall, I could see this getting hit. This is like an absolute problem card. Like this card is so stupid. Even at one of, like, the glaring problem is still there. This card needs to be outright banned. I totally agree with that. And make room for, there are decent cards within Angel Feather, other decks too, like Melkuth, like this new Ramriel, whatever her name is. The reverse is actually pretty decent. It's like a low and slow gameplay, so I think hitting this is absolutely true, like the correct thing. And I think for the market, we're not really seeing too much of an adjustment over here. Back in, January is a little bit more expensive. Now it's calming down with the expectation of the ban list, and I think it already settled out and stabilized, so no changes there. But Luard, so Luard dodged the JP ban list, and this is the big question on everybody's mind. I think in English, everybody wants this card gone also. Just too many force markers, just too oppressive. Turn 2 Luard is just like a blowout. Like you really, unless you have like a god hand, like you're not making it. And I think the market really reacted in a big way here, because we saw a couple days ago these cards were going for pretty cheap, $8 here, there, $13, yeah, for these one-off copies. But a lot of, you were able to get them for decently cheap at certain points. But now that no longer exists, all the cheap copies have been bought out. $13, $14 really for one copy over here. If you want your playset, you're still looking just north of like $50 or so. So I think it still is a very good card. I still think that even with a hit, even with like an errata or whatever you think they might do to it, I don't think they actually will. I think they'll come out and kind of hit this. Maybe they'll hit more Festa. They'll hit something around it. But I think this deck is more or less safe for the English ban list. Again, this is all speculation. This is going to be released, this video, probably on March 10th. So I think that we're seeing these prices, these $20 prices are here to stay. Like it still will be the best deck in the meta, most likely. So unfortunate, but it is what it is. Moving on to, I know we had just said that Luard would probably be the best deck, but with some other hits, I think that kind of leaves a vacuum for some other decks. If Prism is hit, if Gabriel is hit, obviously like the JP ban list, that does leave kind of a vacuum. And there are other high roll decks like Astral Plane or Astral Poets over here, and I think we see that there's only 2 listings for this guy over here. This is definitely a necessary card. This guy that restands Valkyrian, so good. There's only 2 listings. I mean, $35 for 3. If you want to place that, you're looking over $100 for this card. This is 120-ish, even more actually, a little bit more, because of the 35. I mean, kind of crazy. It really is. Some of the support cards too, we could see as low as $7, $8 over here. Again, another necessary card for the deck, for the most part, I would say. But yeah, this card is really expensive, and I think people are kind of hopping on this. Genesis in general, I'm going to go over a couple Genesis cards actually. Genesis is actually really good for some generic support they just got in the form of like a promo, as well as some of the other support they got out of the Clan Collection set. Defensively, that deck became so much more bulky. Doesn't matter what kind of archetype you're playing. I personally like to play Witches. I do have Valkyrian, but a lot of them did become bulky. I think a lot of people are picking up on this. I would expect over here, where'd that go? I would expect over here the SVRs to start jumping up in price as well. Again, you have to set the floor in order to raise the ceiling when it comes to card markets. So let's see the sellers over here. Yeah, I mean, if you want them, now's the time to pick them up. Ideal 808's got them for $22, an SVR rarity over here. But overall, that is the deal with this guy. Moving right along, the base rarity is only like $4 for this guy, but I did want to mention that this the selling price well exceeds the market price right now. And I think that there hasn't been a lot of recent purchases, but I think people do know that this is a decent card and this is a decent deck. And again, this could fill that vacuum of like the very high roll, kind of high tier, high ceiling kind of deck. So I think that the SPs did get bought out quite a bit, and a lot of people like high rarity versions of this deck. Like I have a pretty high rarity version of this deck myself, so just something to mention. And again, another Genesis card that did get bought out over here for the most part. Actually hasn't really been bought recently, but the price of these did go up. There's only one listing of these guys, the SP version of Fenrir, and the base rarities are also kind of being bought out. I think, do I have it over here? Yeah. We see that recently, 3.8, 3.9. These people are starting to know about Genesis and how good Fenrir actually is. I don't know if this is a premium thing necessarily. I'm not too in tune with Fenrir Premium at the moment, but in general, Fenrir, I was talking to one of my Genesis friends who like just play Genesis. He said that this deck is actually getting really good right now. It has a lot of spot removal, multi-attack, just constant pressure, and with the generic support that it did get, it is able to bulk out a lot longer than it was previously, so be on the lookout for this. This is like value pickup of the week, so to speak. I would definitely start picking up copies of this if you are interested in playing it because of the generic support being so decent. Moving right along to, I know a lot of people are talking about Highlander being absolutely broken, Highlander version of Prism. Highlander version. Highlander also in premium is like really good, and just regular, even in standard. I played somebody the other day with Highlander. It was actually crazy. Like, this deck is really good, and I think we see that like with these older cards that came out in Primary Melody, like the prices on these are absolutely insane. So this deck is really kind of gate kept by its age and just exclusivity, its use in premium. So this card is absolutely nuts. Heart Monopoly and Zeka is, if you want, you're only gonna really get one of them, but $90. Crazy. I would not purchase this personally. I think this is on the chopping block for a reprint further down the line. Something, actually I want to go over this card first. So Unparalleled Ingenuity Laura is the same deal. Very expensive, $40 for this card. Over here, again, you just need one because it's Highlander, but at the same time, I feel like it's worth mentioning. This card has always been expensive, but this is something surrounding the ban list that could become actually not a meta deck, but definitely fill in some of the void. And I think people might start to pick these up. I see one was picked up on 3.3. It's not really crazy movement, but definitely be watching this card. And then something I kind of forgot to mention last week, I mentioned the regular copy of this, but the SVR copy is well above its market price over here, and this card is really expensive now. This is $37 for one copy over here. If you want a playset of this, you know, you're looking at $200 from a, I mean, he's got 100%, but only 37 sales. Not saying anything bad for Kansan Impact, don't get me wrong. But yeah, actually a very expensive card, came out of kind of nowhere. I think a lot of people realized Highlander is good in both Zero. If you want to put it in Zeal, you can do that. If you want to put it in Highlander or the Dayusha deck, obviously you do that too. So very good card overall. And then something too coming, this relates more to Clan Collection than like a Power Vacuum, I guess. But this card over here, Scarlet Witch Coco, this was like so cheap for so long. I personally really like the OR version, which is bought out. There are no copies right now on the market for this, absolutely no listings. I think I saw Outer Orange actually post that she has a bunch of these now, so maybe she bought them out. But overall, this card has actually become really expensive, and do not sleep on this deck. This deck is nuts. We will have a profile for this. My buddy Eric actually took first last night at locals with this deck. It was, I don't think anybody kind of expected it. I definitely didn't. This card is really, this deck now with the new support out of Clan Collection Volume, I think it's 3. This one came out in 3, yeah. This deck is actually freaking nuts, and the market price for it kind of reflects. This is an old card, first off, so this came out, was it Miyagi Academy? Yeah, so way back in like 2018 or something this came out, and we're seeing the price for a playset become $60. So this goes from some like obscure budget kind of archetype for a triple rare Vanguard to pretty expensive overall, but I think it almost might be worth it. This deck is still total sub $100, so I think this market price might be here to stay. Yeah, we see it's like $866, so I honestly see it staying at this. Like, this is actually a good card, a good deck, so watch out for that. Moving away from V now, we're going to talk about Overdress, and I think everybody's been talking about the drama with this. You know, promo cards are promo cards. It's just super expensive. It's stupid. I don't believe in it. I don't think that shop owners should be opening up packs, selling these. I don't think that people who claim to be distributors, things like that, should be doing that either. Just makes it tough. You know, this should be a promo with a purchase. So if you're not doing it that way, you know, I think go to a better locals, I guess. I don't know. My shout out to my shop owner. He gave out, you know, we bought cases and such, and we got these promo packs included with it, so very important. But over here, this guy only has 3 listings. So Accuse Macarite. So Macarite only has 3 listings, and you can't even get a playset, which you need for this. So you have to look to things like Vanguardians or eBay, things of that nature, to really get your playset completed. But again, you're looking to spend $100 on this, $100, more or less $80 on just the Seraph Pure Light. This deck in general probably is the most expensive base rarity deck in Vanguard right now, and is it worth it? It's a good deck. Is it the best deck? I mean, I don't think there's very defined best deck at the moment. I think that a lot of decks are very good in the meta. It's actually a pretty good meta overall, but we see the same thing with NPICs. NPICs being really pretty expensive over here. I think $13, $12 is still too much to ask for a card. I personally had an extra one, gave it to a buddy. Maybe he'll mention it later on in a video, you'll see, but I just don't believe in that. I don't believe in the scalping like this. It's absolutely crazy. And do I see these prices staying? Yeah, I mean, people can set whatever they want. There's a couple different listings at one of. People can bump these up if they really wanted to, and people would pay them. So that's the absolute insane thing to me. The hollows, you know, there's a ton of them on there for both of these guys, but yeah, it's just really, really tough overall. Moving along over here. Oh, I'm sorry, I went over the D stuff before I went over the V stuff, but yeah, let's move that back over here, whatever. Just going into the V clan collections, I guess. I do want to talk about these. I think for the most part, these prices are stable. If you're looking at the high rarity stuff, that's where the fluctuation kind of comes in. So we're seeing tons of listings for this Himiko over here. There's 14 listings. So just looking at it, I could see this price falling. I don't see with 13 listings yet. Day after day, you're going to see a little bit less. So if you're looking to pick up your playset of this, I know you're trying to play it quickly, but if you're trying to get it for Springfest, I mean, I would wait a little bit more probably. I could see this going down. This is a good deck. This actually came in second, I think, last night at locals. I wasn't there, but otherwise, obviously, I would have taken first. But this is definitely an expensive card, but I think that it can drop. So just be aware of that. Where are we at over here again, too? Let's go back here. So in general, I think the rest of these high rarity cards, wait, where am I? Here we are. I think Salome actually blew my expectations. I did say last week, I'm sorry, my nose is just itching, jeez. I did say last week that this card could go up in price, and it went right to exactly what I thought it would. This guy over here is at that 215 if you're gonna looking to pick up one, a little bit more. I kind of said it, I think it was floating around that 185, something like that, and I said it could go to like right over here, and it did. I think that is the correct price for it. This card is A, competitive, B, waifu, C, it's part of a pro tag clan, and people just like generally like this archetype for whatever reason, so I definitely see this sticking around at this price tag over here, not surprised at all. And then lastly, this actually did exceed my expectations. I said that this could be more expensive. I think there were a couple copies up for like 189 or something, but this definitely went up. I mean, it's selling at $324. Like, it's sold on 3.6. It's sold 3.4, 300, 290. I mean, people picked it up for that 145, that 180, whatever. I think it was 180 when I was looking at it. You honestly got a steal here, and you know, if you wanted to flip this card, I guess you could, but a lot of people want to play this. This is definitely waifu numero uno for a lot of people. Do I agree with the whole waifu stuff? Not really, but it is what it is. It is Vanguard. I think that the regular SPs of these cards, though, for any reverse unit, is actually sick. Like, if you see them in person, they'd have that red border on the bottom, but I think the rest of the deck really just, I mean, the rest of the set really did settle out. A lot of the, you know, less popular SPs are just going to be at that price range, no big deal. A lot of these things over here, Refereed kind of dropped, reverse Dauntless Drive kind of dropped as well. You can see these cards kind of go up in the future. I definitely think some of the, what was it, Bermuda cards might go up, but in general, you know, nothing really too crazy. This is pretty value, this whole set. You can actually build a lot of decks that are kind of decent for a decent amount over here. But moving right along into the next set over here, so talking about reverse Cecilia, I thought this was going to go up. Didn't kind of go up at all. I think it kind of stayed where it was last week, if we're being honest. Oh no, I guess the copy I was looking at didn't refresh the page yet. 3.8. Oh no, I thought this was a little bit cheaper. No, it did go to 175. I forgot what it was at last week, but at that 199 price range, I think with 5 copies, this person, Strictly Broken, probably that sets the floor. I think he's going to stay at that 200. Could go up if the other one gets bought out, in all honesty. Ezel Scissors over here, I am surprised that it is this cheap. I thought that it would be a little bit more because Ezel is such a fan favorite, but again, it's not waifu, and it's really not super competitive. Like, people are buying it, don't get me wrong, 120, 139, but, you know, one copy. I think people are happy with that one copy of it in general, so I could see it staying around this price. I could see it dropping a little bit once these guys are, these guys might actually become a little bit more competitive. Depends how long you want to hold on this and, you know, their ability to float capital, but I think in general, like the 119 kind of it will stay around there, maybe drop just a little bit. But other than that, I actually got lucky enough to pull one of these over here, the Revenger Raging Full reverse. The card looks absolutely sick. That border looks really sick. I actually got unlucky enough to pull a Polaris as well. I did pull a Military Dragon 2, and then what was my last? My Amon. I also got Amon. So in general, I think most of the SPs for this kind of settled out too. This set's really not that expensive. I think outside of the Revenger stuff right here, the $2, $3, whatever it is, let's see how much a playset of this kind of stuff is actually. $2, yeah, $3. I guess it's not absolutely insane. Shadow Paladin always has attacks. It's not waifu tax, it is what it is. This guy is actually a pretty valued card. These two over here, a lot of these cards actually have hidden value. I think set 4, I think collection volume 4 is a little bit better than 3. I think that this Musketeer card is good. This guy's okay. The Raptors are alright. Amon is actually really budget, really value. Deep Green Lord Master Wisteria over here is decent too, but overall, not too much movement in this set, and I think that was really what I wanted to point out. Next up over here, just kind of looking at some of the major overdress things. Up in the high ends, we don't really see too much movement. Nirvana's getting lower and lower. For whatever reason, there is a listing now for Pure Light. I think that was there last week, actually. Nobody's really buying it out there, but I know Magnolia Elder was kind of ran out for a while on copies, but we are seeing it. And again, poor Bruce. You know, we do have 6 listings over here for $150. That's actually not bad at all. That foiling looks absolutely sick. I have seen that one too. And then 2 things I wanted to point out as well. I wanted to point out where was it? Pure Light is still at that $20 kind of price range. I think we've really settled into that. It is unfortunate, again, that deck is just absolutely insane in terms of price. And I think the Bastion, this guy did go up quite a bit. I think that VGCS or WGP, whatever it was, where Bastion kind of won in the East, kind of drove this price up, because we saw these get bought out, and all of a sudden, like, these were $10, $8 around that price. All of a sudden now they're $20. So I think people are waking up and realizing this actually is a good deck. There are so many good decks in the meta. I think the meta is like wide open at the moment. So just wanted to talk about that. And then again, I just wanted to bring up the rising prices of some of these overtriggers. This guy over here is finally exceeding its market price. There were a couple cheap copies last week for around that $12 mark. But checking out the sales history, these cards are selling. They're selling every single day. So actually, where was it? 333. Yeah. So there was, yeah, $13, $12. We see since that, like, last week, it has definitely gone up. I think people are realizing, you know, it's time to pick up sub 4 premium, start practicing, as well as overdress. They just want, you know, the best, and Seraph is one of the best decks right now too. Gravidia as well, I think, is really popular. I think people, you know, are fully on board now with that. As soon as I saw Solemn's list, I was like, oh, I have to try this. I was convinced immediately, but I think a lot of people now are also turning to the fact that Gravidia probably is one of the best decks, if not the best deck of the format. But in general, what I'm trying to say is pick up your overtriggers now while they're not insanely expensive. $10. I mean, again, nobody wants to pay $10 for an overtrigger, but it is what it is. And the Dragon Empire Sentinels are still $6. This is terrible. I think a lot of people, let's check them out. Let's see if they were bought yesterday. 3939. Yeah, people are buying their set. They saw some of the announcements. Ooh, for $7. That is insane. They saw the announcement that the new Dragon Empire deck will be coming out probably. And yeah, we saw that the price kind of went up in the last 3 months. Let's see, from day to day. 3.8, yeah, just kind of ticking up there, but difficult overall, very expensive, and we already went over the promo cards. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if I missed anything down below. Let me know your thoughts on the ban list, anything of that nature. Totally want to hear it. And again, if you are enjoying the content and want to tune in for our market watch, I'm going to try to do it Wednesday, Thursday, kind of every week, kind of plan it out in the middle of the week to see what's going on. But yeah, definitely subscribe to the channel if you do enjoy it. Leave a like on the video. Lets me know that you enjoy this content, and I will keep on bringing more. So stay tuned for deck profiles too. We have tons of deck profiles for the collection. I'm still doing all my overdress ones too. I know I've been really slow with it, but work has been a whole lot. I'm moving into a new house. I've been renovating and whatnot. So with my fiance and planning this wedding, it's just absolutely insane. So thank you guys again for the support, and this is Alex from Team Generations signing out.